Welcome to the PastorCast, everybody. I've got with me as my co-host again tonight, Bill Witt. And we've got a great show in store, so let's begin.
Skittle-do, I said, Bill Bop. Skittle-do, I said, Bill. Skittle-do, I said, skid out and bop. Skittle-do, I said, Bill Bop, boom. Skittle-do, I said, Bill Bop. Skittle-do, I said, Bill. Skittle-do, I said, skid out and bop. Skittle-do, I said, Bill Bop, boom.
All right, welcome to the PastorCast. Bill and Scott here, and I love the new intro, man. That's like, all these things come out of Scott's brain. It's just, you dream these things up, and you were adamant that we use those words on the new intro, which I love.
Well, I'll tell you what, as we prepared a new intro, I wanted to clarify what this PastorCast is really all about. And we really do want to help people get connected to God. And, of course, that second part, too, is also really important. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I think that's the heart. We want to help equip people so that would be the case. And you and I are just ordinary people, and I think pretty much everyone that I know is just an ordinary person. But when we connect to God, extraordinary things happen. And so, anyway, that's the heart of the PastorCast. If you're joining us tonight, thank you very much. We make these for not only members of our church, but we've got friends even all the way around the world who I know tune in and watch. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We've got a great show tonight. The first segment, our Spotlight segment, Bill, I decided I'd like to show some kind of hidden places here in the church that people wouldn't know about. But each of these places actually, in one way or another, contributes to the vision of our church. And so, for the Spotlight tonight, I'm going to take everybody on a little tour. Here we go. All right, for this segment, everybody, I went on a little tour, and I just took my camera to some places that, I guess you could call them hidden places. It's not that they're hidden, but for many people, perhaps you just never go there. In the first place, we have out in the courtyard, right off of our portico, when you first drive in, we have a sundial, and it's called an analemmatic sundial. What you do is you stand on the current month, and as you stand on the month, actually what winds up happening is every sundial has a little stylus that goes up that casts a shadow to tell the time, and because you're standing there, it's actually your shadow which is cast, and it tells the correct time. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to demonstrate that very well as I went out there today. It's Florida, and we had cloudy weather, and there was no shadow, which is, I guess, the downside of having a sundial when it's cloudy. But actually here in the Sunshine State, it works quite often. The neat thing about this sundial, actually, it fits into the overall concept of our church. At the very top in the center is the cross. And then down below, you'll notice this, there are 12 tall Sylvester palm trees, they're striking. And the idea here of the sundial is that those 12 trees represent 12 disciples gathered around Jesus. And it's now time for us to be a part of that. And so as you stand on that sundial, it's a moment to connect with God. And here at Sunlight Community Church, we're connecting with God. There's actually a scripture passage just as you enter, which says, "From the rising of the sun to the place where it sets, the name of the Lord is to be praised." And so here you are at the cross of Jesus, surrounded by the 12 disciples as witnesses, and it's now time for us to become a part of that major story. And by the way, these 12 trees, they're lit up, they're beautiful at night, and so it's a really striking feature here in St. Lucie West. We want to be a big part of our community. So that's the first place. Now, the second place I'm taking you, actually, is two different places. And again, this is not so much hidden, but perhaps you don't always go there. First of all, we'll just leave the sanctuary here and take a tour toward our Children's Ministry Center. As we go by, we're passing by our Visitors Welcome Center, you can see. And as you go out the doors and finally across the courtyard, you enter into the Children's Ministry building. Now, on weekdays, like it is today, there's actually a code that you have to press. Actually, the building is very secure, and that's because we want our children to be secure. On Sundays, the front doors are open, but throughout the week, even to get into the school, you have to put in a code. I don't want to show you the code, which is why I'm turning the camera away, but once you put the code in, you're able to get into the building. And if you don't have a code, by the way, you can just ring the doorbell, someone will answer. You walk in and you're in our Children's Ministry Center. Now, this Children's Ministry Center is a center for ministry, not only on Sundays, which is a big time, but also throughout the week. And as an example, right now we're running our summer camp, and so we have a lot of children who are here. You can see me walking into a second set of doors. Again, a lot of security around children. But once you get through that second set of doors, I'm coming into the chapel area here. You can see some of the kids who are a part of our summer camp. They're actually working on a dance together, which is really, really great. And anyway, throughout the week, we have a school now that is preschool through third grade. And in the summer, we have summer camp. But on Sundays, we have a whole host of children's ministries that are very important to us. And all right, that's this tour and this building. I know not a lot of people, many of you who watch this might not have the opportunity to come in here very often, but we just want to say here at Sunlight, children's ministries are important to us. The next place, we're going to start back in the sanctuary, and this time, as I walk out the doors, and by the way, as I'm doing that now, here on the left-hand side, we have a cry room. And I just want to point this out because, again, we want parents to feel really comfortable coming to church with children. We want you to know that we're here for you. And anyway, if you have a crying infant, this is a great place to come. The sermons are up on the TV that you see here. Anyway, now moving on with the tour. I'm going to turn left in the foyer, and I'll wind up, instead of going into the gymnasium and fellowship hall, going up a flight of stairs. There's actually one set of stairs here and another on the other side of the gymnasium. Go up a flight of stairs and walk down a hallway. And I want to show you this because I don't think a lot of people, unless you're in our youth ministries, have the opportunity to come up here. As we wind up walking down the hallway just a little bit further, we're going to enter into the Redeem and Young Adults room, which is really, I think, just a great room. You can see it's a casual place for youth and young adults to hang out. There's a stage in the front. There's drums, there's a keyboard. You can plug in some guitars. There's a television for audio, video, and a computer here in the back. Also, just want to show you this over here on the right-hand side. There's a prayer wall and a number of just prayer requests, praises, and requests hanging there. And one of my favorite quotes on this prayer wall from Martin Luther: prayer is not overcoming God's reluctance, but grabbing hold of his willingness. I love that for prayer. Anyway, this is the Redeem and Young Adults room. And then as we go out the door here and head down the hallway just a little bit further, and you can see we wind up passing by an elevator, so beyond the stairs there's also an elevator. We walk into another youth room. This is used largely for middle school, so it's called our middle school room. And again, a nice room. You can see a lot of chairs. One of the things I'd like to highlight here, we talked about prayer in the last room. The 39 books in the Old Testament are here on this wall, and of course the 27 books in the New Testament. We really want our kids not only to learn about prayer, but also the Bible, and so that's a big value and part of what we're trying to convey and do as they share fellowship and learn and grow as Christians. And so anyway, the reason to show you these two places, both our children's ministry and our youth ministry, is so that you can see what a value we put in passing the faith to the next generation. Okay, the third place I'm going to show you actually is another place that speaks to the value of our church, particularly our value of impacting and reaching the community. And this one probably is a little bit more, I guess it feels more secretive, in the sense that it's actually in a kind of out-of-the-way place. In order to get there, you'd start in our sanctuary as one way of approaching it. go up onto the stage and end up turning right. There's a door that gets you back behind the stage. And behind this door, there's a large storage room, as you can see. And it is just full of food. And this storage room is used by our Grace Packs ministry. Grace Packs is a tremendous ministry. It's reaching something like 24 schools and packing, I can't even tell you, thousands of bags every single week for kids that don't have enough food at home. And the schools help us in identifying the kids that have this need. We pack meals to go home with them over the weekend so that they'll have something to eat. And it's just a tremendous way of really helping a real tangible need in our community. There's just lots of kids who are going hungry, and we're helping meet that need over the weekend. And by the way, you can see that there's another way of approach, which is a back entrance. There's a large garage door with which we can bring in a ton of supplies. Anyways, we have a lot of community partners who are helping us. So this isn't just a ministry of our church anymore. There's other churches who are involved in helping, and even businesses who are involved. And it's just a great way that our communities come together to help people who are truly in need. And anyway, I want to show you this place because it speaks to our value of reaching our community. And so, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little segment, our spotlight segment, as I've toured you around. And now you know maybe a few more places in the church you didn't know before.
I love it, man. That's a great segment. Thank you, Scott. And the building is just filled with those, hidden Mickeys, so to speak. You go to Disney World and you find the hidden things. You'd be amazed how much thought the building committee put in to every detail. The recessed crosses in the sanctuary, those just didn't happen by themselves. Putting the LED lights in them so they light up. None of that just became because it was inevitable, but somebody put a lot of thought into that about what purpose our building is going to serve. And one of the phrases we rallied around 4 years ago when we were putting together the plans was, first you build the building and then the building builds you. So the lines you draw on the blueprints and the walls you erect are eventually going to determine the type of ministry you do. And
yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a second section here tonight, and this is Get to Know a Ministry. And this last week, we had the worship service of prayer and praise on Wednesday night. Now, I wasn't able to come to the beginning of it because I had my baptism class, but for the night of worship this last Wednesday, I was able to just sneak in toward the middle, and I loved it. I just thought it was fantastic, and I thought I'd just have you talk a little bit about the service itself, kind of the philosophy of the service, and what your plans are as we move forward. I know quite a few people were there, but maybe some who are watching had hoped to be there but couldn't. Just tell us a little bit about the service and what we have in mind.
Well, it's a really interesting, new, growing ministry. We have about 100 people plus that come to each night of worship, and it's just it's an activity that's interactive and creative and designed to get people in the Word. And so what we do this creatively, a slightly different way at each service, but we'll introduce a topic. And so my part on stage is relatively short, and I'll say it's important to know, for instance, at this last one, who God is. And then we kind of turn people loose in different ways to learn what the scriptures say for themselves about who God is, and allow people to kind of apply for themselves in their own life that truth. And so this particular service, we had the big cross in the back of the auditorium, and we invited people during the worship set to go to that cross, and we had all sorts of scriptures printed out. And we invited people to just take one off and read it and to meditate on it, to pray about it, to think about it. And they would say things like, God is your protector, God is your provider, God is strong, God is holy, with these verses. And it allowed people to experientially kind of take in a lot of scripture. And then we share those with each other. So we get to learn from each other.
It was really interactive.
Yeah. After that, we had people submit their needs to the cross. And so they would take blank pieces of cards, and then they would go to the cross and they would tape it back on the cross. And I thought I would just read a few of the things that people said. So
yeah, great.
They said, "You are the best God imaginable. Thank you for being my Savior." That's from Aiden. "You are my all in all. You are my King, worthy of all adoration. The Lord is my shepherd, I will not lack. God, you are my strength. God, I'm so thankful that you're my protector." And it just goes, I mean, people really doing some business with God and learning who he is and learning to trust in him in unique ways. It was awesome.
Well, I personally loved it. What are we doing in the future? How often will these be, and what's a vision moving forward for the Nights of Worship and Prayer?
Yeah, we're trying to do them monthly, and the next one will be near the end of August. At the next one, we want to kind of take a turn and be more service-oriented.
Okay.
And so focusing on how we can be a blessing to schools. We know that the school year is just about to start back up. And so what we're going to do is invite area teachers to come and pray over them, maybe our preschool teachers, and pray over them. We also have a ministry here at the church that's very much centered on helping people in school, and that's Grace Packs. And so the main part of the next night of worship and prayer is going to be hearing Laura's story. She's going to be on stage with me. And we're just going to talk about her journey of learning to serve God with her God-given vision and her God-given abilities and gifts. And I think it's going to be a lot of things going to happen. It's going to be transformational, some people to see and hear that story, but it's also going to be really transformational for people to be able to contribute and make a difference in a variety of ways in our local schools.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to that. Bill, thanks for co-hosting again today. That about wraps it up for the PastorCast. Everybody, thanks for joining. Want to encourage everyone, as always. Bill, it was your phrase, digital missionary.
Yeah.
We're talking about that a lot more now. Like, share, comment. If you got questions, feel free to put them on there. We're going to do our best to respond to them. Anyway, everybody, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.